Unless something absurd happens, Dota 2 is done for 2019. This has been an up and down year for the game, both at the professional and the casual level. There's some very high highs as new teams posted breakout performances and old favorites found new heights of success. Unfortunately, there are also some really low lows brought about by a player exodus and mismanagement from Valve. Let's take a look back at Dota 2 in 2019 and pick out the best and worst of what the game had to offer. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to keep up with all of our Dota 2 content.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's OG!
Riot Games and Valve have both been looking to transform their signature MOBAs into cross-media IPs. League of Legends fans have benefited from this in a big way. Riot has collaborated with Marvel Comics to create multiple miniseries based on champions from the game. There have also been multiple hit songs created by Riot that have caught the eyes and ears of people that aren't even gamers. And moving forward for League of Legends, there's everything to look forward to, ranging from spin-off titles to novels. So what did Dota 2 fans get? Well, they got Artifact. The collectible card game was supposed to be Valve's answer to Hearthstone, but instead it ended up being one of the greatest commercial flops in video game history. Though Artifact itself was fairly well received, the TCG-style monetization system kept lots of fans from buying into the game, and turned off many of the people who actually did pull the trigger on it. This resulted in a very quiet launch for Artifact, and unfortunately, a really quick death for it as well. Now, a year away from its release, Valve has seemingly abandoned the game entirely, as they haven't posted on the game's blog or social media channels since March. Valve failed miserably when it came to making a Dota 2 spin-off title, but a random third-party studio ended up hitting the nail on the head. Towards the start of the year, Dota 2 enjoyed some of the highest player counts in the game's history. It wasn't because of a battle pass or a major though. It was because of Drodo Studios' Dota Auto Chess. The user-made game mode lit the world on fire and attracted hundreds of thousands of fans to Dota 2 for the first time. It was immediately easy to see why. Though Auto Chess didn't give players any sort of directions, the game was incredibly deep and compelling in a way that few games are. Unfortunately, Dota Auto Chess faded very quickly, as Drodo Studio created its own standalone version of the game on other platforms, while Valve and Riot both created their own knockoffs in Dota Underlords and Teamfight Tactics. Still, this was a high point for Dota 2 in 2019, even if it feels like it happened an eternity ago. Eternal Envy has long had a bit of a reputation for his willingness to kick people off of his teams. From Team Secret to Team NP to Fnatic, controversial roster moves were almost guaranteed when it came to him. Fans have long been frustrated with him for this, but things hit another level entirely at ESL 1 Mumbai, when Gunnar and Nusham were kicked from Team in the middle of the event. This led to one of the most memorable moments of the year, when player-turned-caster Kyle bashed EE for the move during the broadcast.
If his team isn't succeeding, it's anyone but his fault. And part of this is probably like a bit of personal frustration, because I was at a point told, like face to face by Jackie Mao himself, that we were the same person, but I knew how to talk to people, which is bullshit. I care about other people. And I've read a lot of fictional books too, not as much anime, but the hero of a story, they demonstrate qualities like loyalty and honor and faith in their friends. And I think it's about time that a lot of you at home stop rooting for the villain.
While there's certainly a debate to be had about when and where scruples trump sporting concerns, Team was far from alone in doing moves like this. Organizations earning spots in important tournaments and then kicking players that they saw as a weak link has been a pattern over recent years in Dota 2. While Team and Eternal Envy took a lot of heat for kicking Gunnar and Nusham, they weren't actually the only team to make that exact sort of move during the build-up to the MDL Disneyland Paris Major. Valve took steps to try and stop this for the 2019-2020 Dota Pro Circuit season, but so far, it hasn't really worked. Just in the last few weeks, we've seen GeekFam and Ninjas in Pajamas kick players ahead of the WePlay Bukovel Minor. While EE has taken a lot of heat for it in 2019, he's far from alone in doing this. Dota 2 fans have long griped about an apparent lack of interest in the game from Valve. Players will take to Reddit and meme about how Dota 2 is a dead game and how they want to have Dire Tide giffen to them. Well, there are certainly some lingering issues with Dota 2 that Valve seemingly can't be bothered to fix. 2019 has seen the publisher step up its efforts to be transparent with future plans for the game in a big way. This has been especially common over the last few months with updates to ranked matchmaking, which has seen Valve give players a step-by-step breakdown of each change to the game coordinator. And of course, fans can't question Valve's willingness to try new things. Though the Outlanders update has garnered mixed reactions, there's no questioning the amount of time and effort that Valve has put into the game. On the flip side of this, Valve has done an embarrassingly bad job of operating the pro Dota 2 scene this year. This can basically be said for any given year, but things have been uniquely troublesome in 2019. Late last year, Complexity Gaming player Skemberlu and TNC Predator player Cuckoo were involved in a pair of incidents stemming from the use of racist language against Chinese players. If this had happened in League of Legends or Overwatch, the players involved would have received a fine and a suspension, and that would have been the end of it. But in Dota 2, Valve basically sat back and hoped it just went away. Needless to say, that didn't actually happen. The controversy grew and grew, which eventually prompted a statement from Valve that didn't really say anything at all. When people within the pro scene started saying that local governments in China were going to interfere with Cuckoo's ability to compete in events, Valve issued another statement saying that this wasn't true and that they had actually made the decision to ban Cuckoo from the second major of the season. Unfortunately for Valve, time would prove that what they said flat out was not true. Later in the year, Cuckoo was unable to compete in the WESG finals at the behest of the local government. This meant that Valve either outright lied to fans in its second statement, or that it just hadn't done its due diligence when operating a Dota 2 major. Regardless of which of these things are true, it's almost certain that none of this would have happened if Valve just hadn't buried its head in the sand at the start of it.
That'll work. That'll work.
That was great stuff. Really, really great.
Let's wrap things up on a high note. The International 2019. The event was absolutely amazing from top to bottom. The competitive field was stronger than it ever has been, with a number of different favorites to win. The meta was also in a very good place, which made for a lot of exciting games. Naturally, there were a bunch of big plays and upsets that made stars out of fresh faces. And of course, the prize pool smashed every record, coming in at over $34 million. All that said, the best part of TI9 by a pretty considerable margin was the amazing performance of OG. Much like TI8, the fan favorite team came into TI9 as something of an underdog, thanks to a rocky stretch where they struggled in the first half of the season. But once they reached Shanghai, they hit another level entirely. On the server, they're creative and confident, and off the server, they wore their emotions on their sleeves.
I'm pretty shaken. I'm feeling pretty good. Pretty emotional.
Can you walk me through what that feels like? You made it to the grand final.
That's fucking wild. It's crazy. It's still sinking in very much.
All of this combined to make OG's victory at the event one of the best esports moments of all time.
Before this tournament, things were a bit dark. My dog had died, and yeah, it was really rough for a couple of weeks. My self-esteem was pretty low, and now we're here. Sebastian, I mean, honestly, I dedicate this tournament to him. Oh, fuck, this is so crazy.
You're making me cry. Stop it.
No, but really, thank you, Sebastian, and of course, everyone else. Just feeling so fucking lucky, feeling so fucking good. Yeah. That's fucking adrenaline, I'm shaking.